Hi. I just ran my first half marathon on Sunday, and after hearing Esther speak, I'm like, oh my God, what is a half marathon? And after hearing Kelly speak, I'm like, I'm a superhero. I never say no to anybody. Okay, so what is it that I do? I'm a doula. When people hear the word doula, the first thing they go, do what? And in Singaporean terms, I'd say, just doula, okay? So what is a doula would be the next question that people always ask. A doula is actually derived from a Greek word, the highest woman's slave to serve her mistress in childbearing. Okay, sounds exotic, right? So what we actually do as doulas is actually, you're like a birth coach. You actually help women during pregnancy to help them plan for the kind of birth that you want. And then during labor, you actually accompany them from the start of labor until they actually give birth. That's right. And then right after they give birth, we help them with breastfeeding and early postpartum to ensure that irregardless of the outcome, whether if they have a natural birth, they have a birth with an epidural, or they end up in a cesarean, they can walk away from the experience feeling that this is the best birth possible for them. Okay, that it was a good experience and not like what a lot of women actually say, oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. It's something painful, I don't want to talk about it, okay? A lot of the women who actually have a very good experience want to have children over and over again. I even have clients who actually want to be pregnant just to give birth, but they don't want to deal with the rest of the 21 years. So that's how good, that's how much of a high women can be after giving birth. So after they hear about what I do and what a doula actually does, the next question is, Ginny, why do you want to do something like that? I mean, how did you come into this? And not many people actually know this. I became a doula because of my son, who's sitting over there. 10 years ago, 10 years ago, I got pregnant, okay? And when I got pregnant, I was single. I wasn't married, I didn't have a job, I was 23 years old, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So my boyfriend told me, if you want a relationship to continue, then you'll have to abort this baby. My parents told me, if you want to have this baby, you got to kick yourself out of the house. I was 23 years old, I didn't have a job, I didn't have any money, I didn't know what to do. But the only thing that felt right for me, I nearly went for an abortion, but the only thing that felt right for me was to keep this baby. And everyone told me, you're so young. This is the end of your world, okay? Nothing's going to happen after this. Little did they know that this little baby or boy that you see over there brought me to my life's calling. When I was during pregnancy, right, was the most traumatic experience I've ever experienced in my entire life. Every night I would go home crying, okay? I lived day by day. I cannot see a week ahead of time. If I can survive this night and I can see the sunrise tomorrow, I made it one day. So I lived day by day by day, every single day. It was the hardest period of my life. And like every other mother, you try to focus, okay, I want to be a good mother, how am I going to do this? Eventually I found myself a job, thank goodness, and all that kind of stuff. I had to find places to live, I moved around a little bit here and there kind of thing. And finally, the day happened, right? The moment that you've been waiting for, I went into labor. And I was telling my aunt, she was my, kind of like my coach at that time, she was saying, Ginny, don't take the epidural, okay? During our time, nobody took the epidural. It was there, but nobody took it. Just have your baby naturally. And I was so inspired by my aunt, and I'm like, okay, like every woman going into labor will say, I want to do this naturally. But I never asked myself, how am I going to do this naturally? So I went into labor like, oh, okay, I have cramps and everything, oh my God. And I'm prone to fainting. And I was fainting a lot in the first trimester of my pregnancy. And during labor, I felt like I was going to pass out. During labor, I was in there with my poor mother with me, and my mom didn't know what to say or what to do because she didn't have a natural labor. She didn't know what to expect. So she just sat at the sofa, bless her soul, and just sat there, right? And I was in bed and going like, oh my God, I can do this, I can do this. And when I went to the hospital, one of the things I said to the midwife was, I want to do this naturally. Can you please help me? And the midwife just gave me a look and didn't say anything else. The only thing they kept asking me was, when do you want the epidural? So in the end, I was lying down like, oh my God, I feel sick, I want to throw up, I want to do this and that. And in the end, I said, okay, I can't do this anymore because I was afraid that I would pass out from giving birth because I was prone to fainting. So I said yes to the epidural, and I was fully dilated, and the midwife says, okay, you can push, show me how you can push. And I just push. It's like, you cannot push, okay? You learn, you stay there, lie down there, and learn how to push until you can push properly. I got so mad. Okay, I was delirious already at that point, but I was so mad because when people challenge me to do something that I cannot do, I will rebel and show them, you think I cannot do this? I'll show you how I'm going to do this. So I started pushing, didn't know what I was doing, but just did whatever my body felt like doing. And then my mom came over and she's like, oh my God, I saw that black thing. And then she went out to the nurse and called the nurse, and the nurse came in and was like, no, can't be it too soon. Just now when I came in, she didn't know how to push. So she sent my mom back. My mom came in again. Oh my God, there's more black thing there. And then my mom ran out and convinced the nurse to actually come back in. And then, the nurse asked me. At that time, I was half naked, as most laboring women would be. My legs were open. I was lying on the bed. Okay, I was delirious, wasn't sure what was happening. All I could think of was, I'm going to show this woman how to push my baby out. And then the nurse comes up, the same midwife comes up to me and says, oh my God, the head is coming, quick, call the doctor, no time for the doctor whatsoever. And she came up with this scissors and she's like, okay, I'm going to give you an episiotomy. Now, I didn't know what was an episiotomy, right? All I knew was, I'm going to get this baby out of me. And so she snipped. She cut an episiotomy is a cut where you cut the vagina opening. So she gave me a cut, and I had this baby. And once I had this baby, it was the most amazing time of my life. I always feel like a little girl most of my life, but when I gave birth to this baby, and he was 3.8 kilos, no small baby, so when I gave birth to this baby, I felt like a woman, like, hear me roar. I was like, why did you give me the episiotomy? Why did you say that I couldn't do all these things? But it was too late at that time. But at that point, I just focused on having this baby, and I said, okay, let me try to breastfeed. Being 23 at that time, 24 by the time I gave birth, all my peers weren't pregnant and didn't have children. Okay, I felt like I was the only woman in Singapore who was going to breastfeed my baby because so many people talk about failures at breastfeeding. So the thing that I did prepare for prenatally was, I was telling myself, if I'm going to be the only woman in Singapore who knows how to breastfeed her baby, then I had better know what I'm going to do. So I went to study breastfeeding on my own through books, through the internet, etc. And I said to myself, okay, I'll breastfeed my baby for like a month, and if 1 month goes well, 6 months. I ended up breastfeeding him for 6.5 years. Okay, throughout that period, okay, this was when I discovered what a doula was all about. A good friend came up to me and said, Ginny, you're going to be a great doula. I'm like, what's a doula? Okay, and she explained to me and she said, take the course, I think you're going to like it. And I said, okay, fine, I'll take the course. And a doula, and through my work, working with clients, I get a lot of people who come to me the way I felt when I was pregnant. Oh my God, I'm so scared of the pain, give me the happy dural, okay? Once I'm happy, we can have this baby and talk business. Before that, don't talk to me, kind of thing. And here I am feeling so disempowered when I was giving birth myself. And I wanted people not to have the same experience that I did as a new mother, as a young mother. I wanted someone to believe in me, to tell me, Ginny, you can do this. And I didn't have a doula at my birth, otherwise I don't think all those things would have happened to me. But what I did have was the experience of what I did not want, which I thought this would be what women don't want either, because I live with that experience and I carry that experience with me. So through my work as a doula, supporting mothers, empowering mothers, not telling them what to do, but believing in them and showing them the way that if you want to have this good birth experience, it is possible. And people look at me and go, how can this be a good birth experience? I mean, childbirth is painful, right? If I walk down the street and I meet a stranger and I go to her, just walk up to this complete stranger and say, hey, you are going to have an easy, short, relaxed, and comfortable birth. What would be the immediate response? you're crazy. Okay? Why? Because in the belief system somewhere, we believe that childbirth is painful. But from my experiences as a doula, I see women giving birth in such a pleasurable way. One of the best birth experience I ever attended, like for me when I have and if I have my next baby, I've got my top 10 playlists, okay? Playlists of the kind of births, like how I want to give birth. I want to emulate these women when they're giving birth. And the top contender who has held, this top #1 space for the past 2 years was a woman who actually kissed her husband through every contraction, okay? She was laboring in the water, and when the contraction came, she would pull him over and kiss him passionately, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to have that birth experience, okay? And so when I tell people, like, these are the things that you can do during labor, you can kiss someone passionately, they go, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. Why? Because somewhere deeply embedded in their mind is the fact that childbirth is painful, okay? Now, what happens when we actually experience pain, okay? Oops, sorry. Okay, so when we are scared of labor for whatever reasons, consciously or unconsciously, when we are scared, our body releases adrenaline. When our body releases adrenaline, we tense up. So from fear, we release adrenaline, we actually tense up. Now imagine a woman in labor, her uterus, which is the largest muscle working at that time, and she's tensing up. She's tensing all the muscles against the largest muscle. Does it make labor more painful or less painful? More painful, definitely. When labor gets more painful, what does the woman say to herself? How long more is this going to take? I don't think I can do this anymore. I need help. So the more pain she experiences, the more fear she gets. The more fear she gets, she actually releases more adrenaline. And the more adrenaline, the more tension, the more pain, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So if a woman wants to kiss her husband during labor, or rather if a woman wants to have a better birth experience, a birth experience that can be easy, short, relaxed, and comfortable, what she then needs to do is to replace that fear with calm and confidence. Okay? When we are calm and confident about what we're going to do we release adrenaline or do we release endorphins? We release endorphins, our body's natural opiates to help us cope with labor. When we release endorphins, we feel more relaxed. When we are more relaxed, labor actually becomes very manageable. Okay? So a lot of people go, this is just a chart. Too good to be true, okay? What actually does happen on a hormonal level? When all the hormones that we use for making love are the exact same hormones we use for giving birth. That's right, you heard me correctly. All the hormones we use for making love are the exact same hormones we use for giving birth. Why is that so? When we are making love, we release this hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is our love hormone. Okay? Oxytocin makes you feel bonded, in love, ready to give love. When you are going through labor, you also need oxytocin. Without oxytocin, labor will not start. So what happens is when your body is ready to go into labor, your body will release oxytocin. When oxytocin increases in the body also releases your body's natural opiates, which is endorphins, to take away the intensity of the oxytocin. Okay? But what happens is that oxytocin and endorphins have a direct relationship. They work together. However, oxytocin and adrenaline have an indirect relationship, which means that when a woman is feeling scared during labor, what happens? Adrenaline is high. When adrenaline is high, oxytocin is suppressed. When oxytocin is suppressed, is labor longer or shorter? Bearing in mind that we need oxytocin for labor. So oxytocin is suppressed, labor becomes longer. So in order for women to have an easy, short, relaxed, and comfortable birth, they need to remove the fear. They need to remove adrenaline. When adrenaline is removed or eliminated, what happens then is that oxytocin and endorphins will go on happy hour, free flow. So when oxytocin goes on happy hour, labor then becomes a lot faster and shorter. Okay? Sounds too good to be true, right? After my half marathon on Sunday, I had 2 women go into labor on Monday night. I didn't, no rest for the wicked, right, they say. So what happened was the first-time mother, okay, her first contraction started at 11 o'clock. She gave birth by 2:30 in the water. Second mother went into labor. I was like, this is serious, man. She started labor at 2 o'clock. We didn't even make it to the hospital. I was waiting for her at the hospital, and the husband called. She can't move. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go over. From the time I went over, within 10 minutes, she gave birth at home. 2 first-time mothers giving birth so quickly in less than 3 to 4 hours each. Is that a coincidence? No. Unlike me, when I had my first or only baby, when I had my baby, I said I wanted a natural birth, but I did not teach myself how I was going to get this natural birth. These women were different. Now they come to me to learn how to have an easy, short, relaxed, and comfortable birth. So this was no coincidence that 2 women, first-time labors, which people usually say, oh my God, first-time mother, 24-hour labor kind of thing, or more kind of thing. And they all had 3 to 4 hour labors. How did that happen? They worked for it. They made it happen, okay? What are some of the things that can help women have an easy, short, relaxed, and comfortable birth? 1, eliminate fear. Okay, in theory, it sounds really good. Like, how are we going to eliminate fear? Okay, you need to work through your fears. You need to get all the skeletons out of the closet and actually deal with it so that it doesn't come up. You need to educate yourself about what childbirth is going to be like and how you're going to make it easy. Second is to find coping techniques to help you cope. Just like, you know, they train for the Everest, you got to find out, if I'm going to go through this birth without drugs, if that's what I want, what can I possibly do to make that an easier experience? You know, when you go to the hospital, most of the time the doctors and the nurses will tell you, you gotta relax, come on, breathe and relax, but nobody actually tells you how to relax, okay? So you need to condition relaxation to the point where relaxation is of second nature to you, so that when the contractions do come, you don't fight against your body by tensing up, which is a natural response when a person does not have that learned response, okay? Instead, you want to work with your body by relaxing through it and not fighting through it, okay? So you need to find coping strategies, things like soaking in the water to help speed up labor, having a water birth even. The third thing that mothers can do is to prepare a birth plan. Just as you want to think about, what is a birth plan? A birth plan is to help you plan for the kind of birth that you want. Not just an ideal plan, I want this and I don't want this, but your plan should actually include, if things don't go as planned, what is plan B? What is plan C? What is plan D? Because birth is very unpredictable. When you start labor, you don't know, is this 21 kilometers that I have to go? It could be 2 hours, it could be 22 hours. We don't know. The only thing that mothers have with them is how they choose to respond to the situation, what tools they're going to use to learn to cope with labor itself. So learning coping strategies on how to cope with labor is extremely valuable, and learning to write the birth plan to know what to expect. What are the common medical routine procedures that happens, the obstacles they may meet along the way, how do they deal with that obstacles should that occur. And the last thing and the most important thing to do is to get support, the right kind of support, to find a doctor and a hospital that would support the mother in the kind of birth that she wants. If she wants a natural birth, if she wants to birth on all fours, squatting in the water, standing up, the doctor and the hospital would have to support that for that to happen. And that's where people like me come in, doulas, where a lot of mothers are beginning to engage doula services to help them embrace that good birth experience. Because they found that women mothering another woman would increase the success rate of women actually feeling very empowered to know that this mother has done it, and now this mother is actually helping me through my childbirth. If this mother can do this, I can do this too. To give the belief back to them, to give the power back to women to know and trust their bodies to be able to do this. So I'm going to end my talk by showing you a video that was shot in Singapore of some of my clients who had a natural birth and how fun labor actually can be, okay? Seeing is believing. Thank you. Go ahead.